My name is Madison Grant, and I'm 21 years old. 15 years ago, my parents made a choice that shattered my world and redefined what family really means. They dumped me at my grandpa's house when I was just 6. Not for a short stay, but forever. They vanished from my life. No calls, no support, nothing, for 15 years. I wondered if they'd ever come back. Then, 1 month ago, my beloved grandpa passed away, leaving a shocking $14 million inheritance from his mining company. Suddenly, the parents who couldn't bother with a single visit showed up at his funeral in Albuquerque, New Mexico, dressed in tailored designer suits, demanding their share as his only child. But what unfolded in court 1 month later left them stunned and changed everything for me. Standing by Grandpa Cody Ellis's coffin at the funeral home, I felt the weight of 15 years. That's when they appeared, my parents, striding in like they belonged. "Give back the $14 million, my father hissed, his eyes cold. "Or we'll see you in court." My mother smirked, adding sharply, "That's our money, you have no right to it." I stood there, frozen for a moment, as relatives, including my aunt, whispered around us, without a word. I turned and walked away, leaving them fuming. Flashback to that day 15 years ago, a scared 6-year-old me, clutching my bag at Grandpa's adobe house door under Albuquerque's desert sky, watching my parents' car speed off. "We'll be back soon." They lied, never looking back. 1 month later, in court, the evidence I dropped made their faces immediately turn pale. What do you think I'd do next? Drop revenge in the comments if you're rooting for justice. Smash that like button if you've ever felt betrayed by family. Subscribe and hit the bell to catch how this courtroom drama explodes. You won't believe the twist. Tell me your story of standing up to betrayal below. Where are you watching from? And what time is it there? Going back to the day they left me at Grandpa's house, the truth was even darker than I knew. My parents had signed papers just days before, claiming it was for temporary guardianship while they settled in Singapore. But those documents weren't what they seemed. They were a voluntary termination of parental rights, making their abandonment permanent and legal. Grandpa discovered this weeks later when he contacted a lawyer to check on my status. The papers showed they had gone to court, sworn under oath that they understood the finality, and walked away without a backward glance. It wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision, it was calculated, ensuring they had no legal ties to me anymore. From that first week, Grandpa started documenting everything. He took photos of me waving goodbye from the adobe porch, noted the exact time their car pulled away, and kept receipts for every expense he covered right away, like my school clothes and the groceries we needed. He even recorded phone calls to their old numbers, capturing the disconnected tones and failed attempts to reach them. His arthritis made writing hard, but he pressed on, filing everything in a cabinet in his study. I remember him sitting at the kitchen table after I went to bed, jotting notes about how I cried myself to sleep those nights. What made it unusual was when Grandpa hired a private investigator a few months in. He used some of his savings from the mining company to track them down in Singapore. The reports came back with details that hit hard. They were living in a high-end apartment, dining at fancy restaurants, and posting about their carefree life on social media. No mention of me, no signs of struggle. One photo showed them at a beach resort, laughing with drinks in hand, while Grandpa was skipping his own medications to afford my asthma inhaler. The investigator confirmed no money transfers, no attempts to contact us, nothing. Early on, Grandpa revealed to his close friend from the local children's foundation that he saw this day coming. He called it his quiet plan for justice, preparing legal safeguards because he knew they'd resurface if his company sold big. He updated his will regularly, ensuring everything was ironclad against challenges. Madison didn't know that Grandpa had built a legal fortress over 15 years. As the years went by, Grandpa's preparations grew more structured. He hired Dylan Hayes, a local lawyer in Albuquerque. Starting in the third year after my parents left, Dylan helped him draft a detailed will, specifying that the entire $14 million from selling his mining company would go to me, with just $1 each for my parents. Grandpa updated it every year, especially after the company acquisition talks began. He wanted it ironclad, with clauses about their abandonment making any challenge futile. Dylan also arranged for annual mental evaluations to prove Grandpa was always of sound mind. Kayla Reed, Grandpa's doctor for over a decade, played a key role in those evaluations. She documented his sharp memory and decisions right up to his last months, countering any future claims of manipulation. Grandpa brought her in after his heart issues started, ensuring her reports were part of the legal file. She even noted how he discussed protecting me from those who walked away, showing his intent was clear and consistent. Taylor Vaughn, Grandpa's friend who ran a children's foundation in New Mexico, witnessed many of these discussions. Grandpa confided in him during their volunteer work at local festivals, saying he was safeguarding me from people who'd abandon their own child. Taylor signed affidavits confirming Grandpa's determination, adding weight to the plan. He promised to testify if needed. Based on years of seeing Grandpa's sacrifices, my best friend Haley Cole became involved later, around high school. She recorded our conversations where I shared the pain of those 15 years, turning them into sworn statements. Haley helped organize the files too, making sure everything was ready. The financial records were meticulous. Grandpa tracked every dollar of the $900,000 he spent on me medical bills when I got sick, tuition for school, even costs for community events we attended together. He kept invoices and bank statements showing no support from my parents. Photos from Singapore sealed it. The investigators' reports included images of my parents in a luxury villa, driving expensive cars, and attending parties. All while Grandpa cut back on his own needs when my parents sued. They had no idea they were walking into a trap built over 15 years. The day of the funeral arrived sooner than expected. I stood in the Albuquerque funeral home, the scent of flowers mixing with the desert air filtering through the windows. Relatives and neighbors gathered, some from the local community who'd known Grandpa through the multicultural festivals he loved. Then, they walked in my parents, dressed in tailored suits that screamed luxury, their faces arranged in practiced grief. My father approached first, his voice low but carrying across the room. "Madison, we're so sorry about Cody," he said, using Grandpa's name like they were old friends. My mother joined, dabbing at dry eyes with a tissue. "He was a good man. We regret not being here more." Their act didn't last long, as people offered condolences. My father pulled me aside near the coffin. "We need to talk about the inheritance," he said, his tone shifting to business. $14 million from the mining company, that's family money. You can't keep it all." My mother leaned in, her perfume overpowering. "It's only fair. We raised you for those first years. Give it back, or we'll have to take this to court in 3 days." I felt eyes on us, including Aunt Sydney Foster's, who nodded approvingly from nearby. She stepped closer, her voice supportive of them. "Madison, listen to your parents. We're all family here. Sharing is the right thing, don't make this harder." I didn't argue, didn't raise my voice. Instead, I met their gaze steadily. "The court will answer for me," I said simply, my words calm amid the tension. My father's face reddened, but he held back with people watching. My mother hissed, "You'll regret this. 3 days." "Madison, think about it," Aunt Sydney added. "They're right. Let's not tear the family apart over money. They've suffered too, being away all these years." I refused to engage further. 15 years ago, They chose their path. Now, I'm choosing mine, I replied, turning away from them. Whispers rippled through the room as I walked to greet other guests, leaving my parents and aunt exchanging frustrated glances. The service began, with eulogies highlighting Grandpa's life in Albuquerque's mining community. But the undercurrent of their threat hung heavy. 1 month later, my parents officially sued at the Albuquerque court. They were confident they'd win. After they filed the lawsuit, Dylan Hayes laid out our strategy carefully. He advised against immediate opposition to their claims, letting them build their case first. This would draw out contradictions in their statements, making their lies easier to dismantle later. We monitored their filings, where they alleged Grandpa had coerced the parental rights termination and blocked their attempts to provide support. By not contesting early, we gave them rope to hang themselves with inconsistent details about supposed money transfers and visits that never happened. Meanwhile, we gathered exclusive evidence that would seal their fate. Investigations revealed my father Brandon was under scrutiny for embezzlement back in Singapore, having siphoned $300,000 from his employer before fleeing to the U.S. He'd covered tracks by changing addresses twice to evade creditors. But our private detective uncovered the paper trail through old bank records and rental agreements. This showed a pattern of financial deceit that extended to their abandonment of me. The most damning piece was an email from 2010 shortly after they left, where my mother wrote to a friend, "Cody will take care of the kid. We're finally free to live without burdens." It proved their intent was deliberate abandonment, not temporary relocation. Haley Cole, my best friend, helped verify its authenticity by cross-referencing with public records from that time. We structured the defense into 3 targeted rounds. Round 1 focused on the legal paperwork, the voluntary termination of parental rights, signed willingly and confirmed in court transcripts where they acknowledged its permanence. Round 2 targeted their financial claims, detailed records showing no support ever reached us, contrasted with Grandpa's expenditures on my upbringing, backed by invoices for everything from doctor visits to school fees. Round 3 delivered the knockout evidence of Brandon's embezzlement, linking it to their motive for returning now that they were desperate, plus the email exposing their true feelings about ditching me. The court date approached. Madison entered the courtroom with a calm expression, but in her hands was the bomb. The courtroom doors swung open, and I stepped inside. The Albuquerque courthouse buzzed with tension, its high ceilings amplifying every whisper. My parents sat across the room with their lawyer, a slick man in a pinstripe suit, looking smug as they prepared their case. The judge, a stern woman with sharp eyes, called the session to order. My parents' lawyer opened with confidence, launching their first attack. My clients were coerced into signing the parental rights termination, he claimed, his voice smooth. They were young, misled about the consequences, and believed it was temporary. They tried sending money for years, but Cody Ellis blocked every attempt. The judge leaned forward, her pen poised. 15 years with no contact, why? She asked. My father took the stand, his tone practiced. We sent money monthly. He lied, adjusting his tie. Cody refused it, kept Madison from us. My mother nodded, adding, we wanted to visit, but he said it wasn't a good time. Their lawyer produced fake bank records, alleging transfers that never cleared. The room stirred, some relatives buying their story. Then it was our turn. Dylan Hayes stood, his calm demeanor unshaken. For round 2, he dismantled their lies with precision. No transactions ever reached Madison or Cody, he stated, presenting Grandpa's bank statements, clean of any deposits from my parents. He showed photos from Singapore, my parents in a $500,000 villa, hosting lavish parties, dated when I was hospitalized with appendicitis, and Grandpa borrowed money for my surgery. Haley Cole took the stand next, her voice steady. Madison cried to me in high school, thinking she wasn't good enough for her parents to stay, she said, her words cutting through the room. The judge's expression hardened, and my parents shifted uncomfortably. Round 3 was the knockout. Dylan revealed the email from right after they left. "Cody will take care of the kid. We're finally free to live without burdens." Gasps echoed as the screen displayed it. The date clear. Then came the final blow: records of my father Brandon's embezzlement. $300,000 stolen from his Singapore employer, forcing his return to the U.S. "This is why they're here now," Dylan said, pointing at them. "Desperate for money after their crimes." The judge slammed her gavel, voice booming. "This is a courtroom, not a stage for extortion." My parents' faces drained of color, their lawyer scrambling through papers. The ruling came swiftly. The judge dismissed their claim, upholding Grandpa's will $14 million to me, $1 each to my parents as a deliberate slight. She ordered an investigation into Brandon's embezzlement, noting it for federal review. My Aunt Sydney, who'd supported them, stared at the floor, avoiding their gaze. They walked out of the courtroom, faces pale. But this was only the beginning. The fallout came fast after the courtroom defeat. Federal agents moved swiftly on the judge's order, coordinating with Singapore authorities to investigate my father Brandon's embezzlement. Within 3 months, he was extradited to face charges for stealing $300,000 from his former employer. A Singapore court sentenced him to 8 years in prison, a term that reflected the scale of his fraud and his attempt to flee. My mother Haley faced her own reckoning in Albuquerque. With no inheritance to cushion her, she filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. The court liquidated her assets, including their rental home, leaving her with nothing but a small apartment and mounting debts. Their lawyer, caught misrepresenting their claims, came under review by the New Mexico Bar Association for ethics violations, his reputation in tatters. The social consequences hit just as hard. Aunt Sydney Foster, who'd backed my parents at the funeral, posted a public apology on Facebook. "I was wrong to support them," she wrote, sharing how their lies about supporting me had misled her. She cut contact with her brother Brandon entirely, unfriending him online and skipping family gatherings where his name came up. Albuquerque's tight-knit community turned cold. Neighbors who once greeted my parents at local festivals like the Balloon Fiesta now crossed the street to avoid them. The local church, where Grandpa had volunteered, barred them from events after members learned of their abandonment. A New Mexico news outlet ran a story titled, "Couple Sues Abandoned Daughter for Millions. Loses Big," sparking heated online debates that branded them pariahs. I channeled Grandpa's legacy into something meaningful. Using $2 million from the inheritance, I founded the Cody Ellis Foundation to support abandoned children across New Mexico. The foundation funded scholarships, counseling, and cultural programs for kids, especially those from the state's diverse Hispanic and Navajo communities. It became my way of turning pain into purpose, ensuring no child felt discarded like I once did. 6 months later, a letter arrived from my parents. Their handwriting was shaky, their words dripping with regret. "Madison, we were wrong," they wrote. "We've changed and want to be the parents we failed to be." I read it once, then handed it to Dylan Hayes. My response was short. Sent through his office 15 years ago. "I needed you. Now, I don't. Do not contact me again." I blocked their numbers, emails, and social media, sealing the door on their attempts to creep back into my life. I settled into Grandpa's adobe house, now my own, and built a career as a lawyer advocating for children in foster care. The foundation grew, helping hundreds of kids find stability through education and community ties. I learned family isn't blood, it's the people who show up. like Grandpa did every day for 15 years. Justice wasn't about hatred, it was about holding people accountable for their choices. My parents live with their consequences now, isolated and regretful. While I've built a life free of their shadow, the foundation helps hundreds of children today. That's how I turned pain into meaning. And them, they live with regret every single day.